It is Wayne with you. And I'm joined by Ricky Lambert. Hi, Ricky. How are you this morning?
Oh, great, thank you.
The Flow News 24 desk has been tracking this by-election in New South Wales at the state level, which for people in our wider Flow family may be thinking, what's that really got to do with me in Victoria or in South Australia? It's got a lot to do with you because, Ricky, it would appear that this could be in the federal government's position right now, could be a real litmus test for its policies on, if you like, renewable energy versus some of the more traditional energy sources.
Yeah, the seat of Upper Hunter is in the coal mining area in the Hunter Valley, and it is going to be a real litmus test, a lightning rod for these renewable energy policies versus coal mining that provides jobs in that area. And there's going to be a hell of a lot of attention on this particular seat across all of the political commentary, because if the seat falls to someone other than the government, the Berjikilian government, they'll go into minority. And suddenly there might be negotiations with Labor about who forms government.
And this gets to this point of renewables versus traditional energy. How do we, in this whole climate world, get a roadmap to, if we move towards more renewables, how do we keep industries that have traditionally used fossil fuels like coal mining, how do we keep those economies going? And the Upper Hunter is a significant coal mining area. And in that context, Labor have announced their candidate as a CFMEU representative and a former coal miner.
His name is Jeff Drayton. He's a CFMEU Mining and Energy District Vice President and a former coal miner. So you can expect Labor to be in support of the workers and continuing jobs in the coal industry in the Hunter Valley. But what you're going to see, and why this is relevant to our whole network, is you're going to see city-centric policy regarding renewable energy being foisted upon a regional area. You're going to see local people saying, we want to keep jobs in our local industry, but the people from the city are going to be saying, no, we need you to stop mining coal. This is where Malcolm Turnbull slipped over when he was appointed chair of a climate body in New South Wales.
And it's interesting because Malcolm Turnbull was then removed from that role very quickly before he virtually started the role. And the reason was that the Nationals, who are also the ones that are in effect trying to hold this seat after it was their person, their sitting member, who has to face allegations, which are serious allegations, and has stepped aside. So the Nationals have got some problems. The Liberal government with the coalition with the Nationals is trying to hold the seat to keep a majority. And so then we have the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers have the only, at this point, female candidate that has been announced, a businesswoman who is strongly supporting in a platform that the Shooters and Fishers would build 2 new coal-fired power stations in New South Wales as a backdrop to what their position is in this seat. So quite clearly, they have a real chance of maybe winning this seat.
They absolutely do, and it is a canny choice on the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party's part to appoint a female candidate. Sue Gilroy, I believe, might be a former nurse who has worked with coal miners in that particular industry in that local area. And it's little wonder that Gladys Berejiklian, the female premier, is racing up there to appear and make campaign appearances with the new candidate David Lazell for the Nationals to show support and try and hang on to a seat that they've already written off. Gladys Berejiklian has said they think they're going to lose the seat. She's trying to play the underdog card there. But that's also why they ditched Malcolm Turnbull as the head of this climate body in New South Wales before he'd even really sat in the seat, because the Nationals were in uproar because he supports a moratorium on coal mining in this seat. So the Nationals, in fact, John Barilaro was the one who announced that Malcolm Turnbull was being kicked out. So this is playing very strongly, not into New South Wales politics alone, but across national politics.
And Joel Fitzgibbons, who has been a strong ALP advocate for keeping the traditional, if you like, coal and having gas and so forth as a strong part of the mix, as opposed to the Malcolm Turnbull position, which has been to quickly move towards more renewables at a federal level, that puts pressure back on the Prime Minister.
It certainly does, and the Prime Minister's going to have to watch what's happening around the world, because you've got not only China, who are supporting projects like a massive 900-kilometre pipeline from Uganda to the coast for oil, but Brazil have done a massive backwards about-face. They were a renewables leader. Now they're going right back into coal mining and gas mining.
And, of course, the price of electricity is the key issue there, but it could also have implications for war. Barnaby Joyce, maybe we should leave it to him for the final say.
Yes, he's had a crack at Malcolm Turnbull's complaint at a Senate hearing. He followed Kevin Rudd's evidence not long ago. Rudd said Turnbull was scared of News Limited, and now Mr Turnbull has said yes, he was fearful of them and their tactics, and Barnaby has said, Malcolm, you're being a sookie la-la.
Yeah, very nicely said by Barnaby. Well, it's an interesting argument, and it's one that's going to be borne out in a state election. It is a by-election that's going to be happening in New South Wales in the Upper Hunter, and over the next couple of weeks it could have enormous implications of where Australia moves in relation to renewable energy and the traditional use of fossil fuel.